Hello, my name is Scuria-Herman, and today I will be speaking on the topic of the flaws of diversity in media. Before I get into it, I do want to cite the fact that I am taking heavy inspiration from Fif Badaki's video, Why Representation Isn't the Solution. It's a very well done video, I highly recommend it. It's the third in a trilogy he had made about a year ago, and I'll be linking that video in the description of this one. I suggest check out his other work too, he makes great stuff. That being said, I'm not going to be following in his footsteps necessarily for this video. Not that I'm going against his stance, just that I'll be looking at the situation differently. While Fif focuses on the over-reliance of minority populations on the media, I want to contemplate on what this dependence is connected to and why that is. Specifically, because that statement is a bit broad and ambiguous, I want to posit the question, why does a character's race matter? This is a question most people can answer, although there is a divide on what that answer is, and there will always be the fallacy that the answer is perceived to not be simultaneously true for the opposing side. For the sake of clarity, someone could answer that a character's race doesn't matter until it's a race that person doesn't approve of. Or, on the other hand, that it does matter and is central until it's a race that the person doesn't care about. Which is a fallacy, and as you can probably glean if you've seen my content before now, I'm a big fan of consistency. On the topic of consistency, different video, this is why I'm firmly against race changes for characters. Because there's no reason to change the race of a character. Keep the character how they are, and if you want to have someone to celebrate a certain group of people, create a new character. That concept seems very foreign in this day and age, the idea of creating a new character, which is deeply saddening for an author such as myself. But the problem that media companies see with creating new characters is that it is riskier, and there will be less potential buy-in, which is a value they hold above all else, including story and characterization. But buy-in isn't always enough, so they want to satisfy multiple markets, which is why you get characters with race changes so that you can represent people while also getting a big name to hide behind. I do have to specify why I feel as strong as I do about this issue. I don't really care about race. I'm not saying that I'm a person who will boast that they don't see race. I do. Race is a visible part of us, and I'm not saying it should be avoided. But I'm a weird, analytical, lonely writer. I don't think of myself as a Caucasian above all else. And to simplify these characters to just races is diminishing and devaluing to the characters themselves. For the sake of consistency, I want to see the characters portrayed as they were originally written, because that's just who they are. There's no need to change a character's race, it adds nothing. And that leads into the next part of this, relatability. I do want to specify, again, I'm not necessarily qualifying to speak on the minority experience because I don't really consider myself one, although I technically am with my Hebrew ancestry. But I don't need a character to look like me to be able to relate to them. I think that concept in and of itself is like talking down to your audience, like they can only understand others if they look like they do. I mean, if we want to get serious here, there's not really anyone on TV that looks specifically like me. I guess I'm somewhere in between a Kyle Mooney and a Jason Momoa. Well, probably a lot closer to Kyle Mooney on that scale, but you get the point. I can see a character that looks nothing like me, but is written well and relate to them. In fact, using representation as it is being used now for relatability is very superficial. I saw this interview a while back from a poet that I've previously disagreed with principally, in which he said that people belonging to minority populations have better empathy than those who don't, because they have to see characters that don't look like them and understand them, put themselves in the character's shoes. But I'd like to posit that everyone should be doing this. Should be trying to understand others. To only understand our little worlds and never attempt to make contact with others, not only is it limiting, but it's also like almost segregation, exclusionary. We should all be trying to understand others And no matter what we look like, we need to start seeing people as people and not just a checklist of characteristics. Counterclaim time. Representation isn't bad. Of course, that isn't really a counterclaim because I wasn't trying to say it was, just that the way we go about it is. The current trend of ceasing the erasure of minority communities in media is a good one, but it just shouldn't be an either or. It shouldn't come at the cost of erasure of other voices. And as Fee found in his video, the racial makeup of media is proportional to American percentages of races. Representation, at its core, is about having a diversity of perspectives that can provide insight, inspiration, and education for the medium's audience, which is something I would fundamentally agree with and conceptually do. It's just that we have to realize that representation isn't a replacement for empathy, and should not be used as a solution for empathy. I don't have much to say about this topic, so I'll turn it over to you guys. What do you think? It'd be a pleasure to hear from a diversity of voices about this idea, and remember, given a compelling argument, I could be convinced of anything. So I urge you to compel me. Well, that's it from me. So until next time, adieu.